Pokémon canon is a spectacular mess. But if you've watched part 28, you already know that. But since I didn't cover everything I wanted to cover back then, I'm going to finish it now, so consider this part 2 of the canon rant. But before I get there, there are two things I wanted to mention, things that I forgot in the last two parts. First, and I can't believe I forgot this, is perhaps the most notorious difference between the manga and the other two. The Kanto Elite Four are actually villains, and since I have heard about that one quite a few times before, it's as I said, I can't believe I forgot about that. And second, I was talking about dungeons I didn't like in part 27, and I got a little reminder from one of the viewers. I don't recall who it was, but whoever it was, thank you for the reminder, because I really hate that place. It's the Water Temple from Ocarina of Time. I haven't seen anyone who liked that one, and personally I didn't like Great Bay Temple either. Lakebed Temple, well, it wasn't as irritating as those two, but it still was the most annoying dungeon in the game in Twilight Princess. And I could even mention Meridia in Super Metroid, though in that one there was Lower Norfair immediately after, so at least you had something to look forward to. But yeah, overall I don't know why, but water dungeons they always turn out to be not to my liking. To say nothing of water areas in Sonic games, because that one's a classic since, yeah, Sonic can swim. But anyway, back to the topic I wanted to discuss. I wanted to compare Pokémon canon with a canon that was a lot more complex, but yet at the same time, there's at least some order in what's more canon than what, and I said it last time, it's Star Wars that I wanted to talk about. Now keep in mind, I'm not a Star Wars buff or nerd or anything like that. It's just something I stumbled across while reading stuff on the internet. So yeah, I still feel like a nerd just knowing about that stuff though. And that's probably because I am, but hey, that's life. Anyway, there exists a system for tiering Star Wars canon. There are 5 tiers in all, and that system is called the Holocron, not to be confused with the Holocron, the artifact in the expanded universe. So the first tier is G-level canon, which stands for George Lucas canon. That's what the G stands for, and what it's made of is the 6 movies. That's all, only the 6 movies. So, like it or not, there is nothing that's going to override the shitburger that is the prequel trilogy. And that means you're stuck with Jar Jar Binks in history for the rest of your lives. And seriously, what were they thinking on that one? They tried to market the hell out of Jar Jar Binks, blissfully unaware that it's like cinema's equivalent of Tingle! Jar Jar! Jar Jar! Gluteum! Okay, so that was random, but I don't like what they did to Darth Vader either. He was the badass of badasses until suddenly he turned into an emo piece of shit. I rest my case. Anyway, second is T-level canon, or television canon. It includes the Clone Wars movie, the Clone Wars TV show, and another TV series that is set to debut next year. And naturally, its inception was very recent since, well, the Clone Wars movie just came out and the TV shows are even more recent. Next is C-level canon, C for continuity. It includes, well, it's the bulk of the expanded universe. One of the more famous pieces of work of the C-level canon would be the Tron trilogy, and it also includes video games. And one thing to note about games is that while the storylines are C-level canon, some other things are N-level canon, such as stats, gameplay, that sort of thing. And there's also other possibilities available within the game, such as having a character that's actually male be female, alternate endings, that sort of things. That is N-level canon, which I'll get to later on. Fourth is S-level canon for secondary canon. This one's hard to explain because it's made up of mostly older works, such as the Marvel Star Wars comics. Oh yeah, the girl who says, "Don't try anything funny in the dark." That's one of the more famous NPC quotes in the game, and, well, there are two things wrong with it. First, I'm using a drowsy to light up the place like crazy, so in the dark really doesn't apply, unless you're one of those pros who can find their way through the place without using flash at all, in which case, if you are one of those people, I salute you. And secondly, well, even if I'm at a distance when I trigger the fight, she says the same thing. How can I try something in the dark if I'm not even next to her? I think Gamefreak didn't really think that one through. Anyway, to come back to S-level canon, that kind of work, those came out before there was any attempt to maintain continuity, and sometimes they may not fit just right, but they're not non-canon completely. Finally, there is N-level canon for non-canon. This one's the easiest to explain. It's basically anything that's non-canon, such as stuff that is in direct contradiction with anything that's in the first 4 tiers, and it also includes what-if stories, fan-fiction, and Photoshop porn based on Leia's slave outfit in Return of the Jedi. So that's about how the system works, and as I said, there can be certain parts of a given piece of work that can be of a higher or lower tier than the rest, and that cop-out is used to help remedy contradictions between pieces of work that are of the same tier. Now there's no denying that Star Wars is much bigger than Pokémon will ever be, so of course there's a need for that kind of system, but still, it would be nice to get the record straight when it comes to Pokémon sometimes. I don't say that's a necessity, but it would still be great. Okay, now that this is finally done and over with, I was talking about detonations a few parts ago, and this made me remember an important detail about the red, blue, and yellow metagame, and it has to do with Golem. Nowadays, Geodude is just, oh man, not you again, go the hell away. But back then, it evolved into something that was really quite valuable. Now, in terms of stats, it's always been hopelessly outclassed by Rhydon, but back then, when the move pools were still small enough, well, the first 3 moves were the same for both of them: Body Slam, Earthquake, and Rock Slide. But the 4th move is where Geodude really packed a punch compared to Rhydon. Rhydon really had to settle for Substitute, as stuff like Rest really wasn't recommended on it. So yeah, it was stuck using Substitute, while Golem could use Explosion off 130 attack, 340 power. It almost rivaled Snorlax's self-destructive Brute Force, which, as I mentioned, is the strongest unboosted attack in the game, at least it was at that time. So in the end, Golem was a massive force in the metagame back then. It was one of about 4 physical Pokemon that could be really viable in such a special-centric environment. The others being its arch-rival Rhydon, Tauros, and Persian, which I already explained in depth a long time ago. But back to the game, I think this is actually the last trainer in this rock tunnel, so hey, it wasn't so bad after all. Maybe it was because I had something to talk about throughout the place, and I'm surprised I actually got so much mileage out of the canon thing, almost 2 whole videos. So now I'm just gonna look. Ah no, it was further to the left. I messed up on that one. So now that I know that I'm just a few random battles from the exit, I'm going to kill that Zubat, and then I'm going to cut this for now, and next time I'm going to get out of this place and reach Lavender Town.